The Dotted Zigzags Stitch is a simple 4-row stitch pattern worked in 1-row stripes. It's completely reversible, and it seems more complex than it is because it's been written so that you don't have to cut the yarn at the end of every row. So I'm going to ask you to pay special attention to when you turn and don't turn at the end of rows. That way, if you follow the instructions, the next color you need will always be on the correct side. We begin by chaining a multiple of 2 stitches. Here I have 20 chains, which is a multiple of 2. I'm going to single crochet in the second chain from hook. So not the first chain, but the second chain. I like to work into the back bump of those chains. So I'm going to single crochet into the back bump of that second chain from hook, chain 1, skip 1, and single crochet into the next chain. I'll do that chain 1, skip 1 all the way across this foundation chain. On the last stitch of the row, I need to change colors. So I'm putting a single crochet into the last stitch, but before I finish that single crochet, I need to change to the next color in the sequence. So I'm going to put that down and come in here with my next color. Leaving a long enough tail to weave in later, I'm going to yarn over and finish that single crochet. So now I'm ready to begin the next row. Remember, these are 1-row stripes, so I'm going to be changing color at the end of every single row. Row 1 and I'll turn. Row 1 tells me to chain 3 and double crochet in the first chain 1 space. I'm working into the space, not into the chain. If I'm working into the chain, it would look like that. Instead, I just want to stick my hook right there into that space, and I'm going to double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, go in, and complete a double crochet in that first chain 1 space. Notice that I did not cut the yarn at the end of the first row. I need this yarn again, so I'm going to leave it there and not cut at the end of every row. I want to minimize the number of ends I have to weave in. All right, row 1 continues with chain 1, then double crochet 2 together over the same chain 1 space and the next chain 1 space. So the same space is here, the next space is here. To double crochet 2 together, I do a partial double crochet. So yarn over, go into that same space, yarn over and pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through 2. And I stop right there. I've done a partial double crochet. I haven't finished the double crochet. Then I start another double crochet with a yarn over, go into the next space, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. So there I have 2 partial double crochets. To finish them off, I do a yarn over and pull through everything. So you can see that it started as 2 stitches and it ends as 1 stitch. That's my double crochet 2 together over the same chain 1 space and next chain 1 space. I'll repeat that across. So chain 1, double crochet 2 together over the same and next space all the way across. At the end of the row, I'll do a double crochet 2 together and then a chain 1 and then a double crochet 2 together in the same chain 1 space and the last single crochet. So there it is in that last chain 1 space and in the last single crochet. So in this case, I'm working into the top of that single crochet to double crochet 2 together. But I also need to change color to the next color in the sequence. So before I yarn over and pull through everything, which would finish off my double crochet, I'm going to change color to the next color in my sequence. In my case, it's this light purple color. So again, leaving a long enough tail for about 6 inches, I'm going to yarn over and pull through everything. So I have completed my first full row. That's a right side row. I'll turn, chain one, and I'm not cutting the old yarn, I'm leaving it there, so I'm going to have a lot of yarns to working yarns to deal with, but that's okay. The next row is single crochet in the first stitch, then single crochet in the next chain one space, then chain one and single crochet in the next chain one space. So this row is pretty easy. We're just working chain one and single crochet in that chain one space, again working into the space, not working into the chains. So that row goes fairly quickly. Row 2 ends with a single crochet in the chain one space and then a single crochet into the top of the last stitch, and I need to change colors at the very end of that stitch. So there I have 2 single crochets right together without a space in between them. Turn, chain 3, then double crochet together, 2 together over that same stitch, this first stitch, and the first chain one space, which is over here. So you have to sort of find that chain one space. Double crochet 2 together over that same stitch and the space, the chain one space. Then chain one and double crochet 2 together over the same space and the next space. That part should look familiar to you from what we did before. It's just the beginning and the end of the round that you have to pay, or beginning and end of the row that you have to pay attention to. At the end of this row, you're going to double crochet 2 together over the same space, the last chain one space, and the last single crochet. So you go over here to that single crochet, double crochet 2 together, and then double crochet into that same single crochet. But what do? We need to change colors, but let's take a minute to see what happens here. I'm going to go ahead and finish off that stitch before we've been changing colors at this point. But let's stop and see where we are. We have 4 colors going. We have the, let's call it colors 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next color in my sequence is this darker rust color, but the yarn that I need is over here on this side. And I'd like to be able to just pick up the yarn and carry it up the side here, but it's on the wrong side. So how can I use this yarn on the next row without cutting? Well, the nice thing about crochet is you can just leave a loop. I'm going to pull that loop out like that and leave it, and then I can not turn. So normally I would turn at the end of the row, but I'm not going to turn at the end of this row. Instead, I'm going to leave this side facing me. I'm going to recognize that this is the color I want. I'm going to stick my hook right into the top of that chain 3, which is the first stitch of that row, and draw up a loop of that next color in the sequence through the top of that first stitch. Then chain 1, and now I'm all set to go. I just didn't turn, and I picked up the yarn where I needed to pick it up. The instructions tell me to single crochet in that first stitch, chain 1, single crochet in the next space, chain 1, and so on, all the way across. That should look familiar to you. When you get to the end of the row, you've got this loop here that's hanging out, and I'll show you what I like to do with that. So here I am at the end of this row. I'm going to chain 1 and then work into this last stitch and single crochet. Now I need to change colors. What color do I need? The color I need is this purple color, and look, there is the working yarn in the color that I need. What I like to do to take care of this loop, rather than just fastening off, I'll just put the loop back on the hook here, and then yarn over with the color that I want, which is the purple, and pull through everything. I want to make sure on both sides when I have this yarn carried up the side that I'm leaving enough length that it's not going to draw in. So you want to leave a nice loop there, and I'll show you in a minute about how you can make that loop not so visible. So here I have taken care of that loop that I had left over from where I stopped and didn't turn, and I've finished this row and I've changed colors, ready to work my next row. So what do you think I do now? I just go ahead and turn and continue in pattern. So this is row 1. I'll double crochet in this first chain 1 space, and then chain 1 and do my double crochet 2 togethers across. So from here on out, I'm just working in the stitch pattern that I've already showed you. The trick is at the end of row 3, you do not turn, and at the beginning of row 4, you just pick up the strand of yarn that you need that's waiting there at the bottom on the right edge of the piece, or if you're left-handed, it will be the left edge of the piece. As you're working, you'll notice that the yarn does tend to get twisted and tangled around itself, the many different colors. So you will want to stop every few rows and untwist and untangle the yarn balls so they don't get impossibly twisted and force you to cut where you don't want to cut. I do, however, want to show you also how we can avoid some of these long floats, if you will, up here. So here I am ready to change color. The next color I need is this light purple color, and you see it has to come all the way up here. What I want to do is the next time I come to the end of a row, I want to maybe twist the yarns around each other and catch them in the stitches along the selvage. I'll go ahead and change color here and chain 1, and then I can put the dark purple over the light purple when I turn it, and that will carry that strand up the edge a little bit more, and I'll do that on the other side too. I'll show you what that looks like when I get there. All right, here I am at the end of the row. I need to do another single crochet, so I'm going to put this one over to finish, but instead I can make sure that that is crossed over so that as I change colors, you can see that it gets carried up and caught in that strand a little bit. And if you twist them along the edge that way, you'll just have to play with it a little bit. You'll see that that is a way to avoid some of those floats that might seem a little bit excessive. We're gonna catch them in. It won't matter that they're visible because you're going to be probably going to be putting this in a seam or putting some sort of border along the edge so you can cover those floats, whichever way you decide to do it. Just keep working in pattern until the piece is as long as you want it to be. End the stitch pattern by working row 2 or row 4 of the pattern so that you have those single crochet dots along the edge that matches what you had on the foundation row. If you'd like more instruction like this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the links in the video notes for more ways you can find me. Thanks for watching.